Hello BookTube, hello book friends. Welcome or welcome back to my channel and another video. It's Tuesday, so it must be Tag Tuesday. And I have been tagged by Pat at Book Chat with Pat for the Reading Tics Tag. This is an original tag that was created by Kevin at Kevin Toll Reads, and Pat has tagged me with, I think it's 9 questions and a tag others. So 10 prompts, but 9 that need answers to. So let's get started. So prompt number 1: Do you only read at a specific time of day? No, but I will read whenever I have a kind of spare moment, but I tend to read in the sort of afternoons, evenings, and before bed. Those tend to be the main times. Morning tends to be for the day job, and the day job takes as long as it takes. And then, once that's done, I will probably sit down and read. We don't watch a lot of TV, so we tend to spend our evenings reading. So yeah, it tends to be that kind of the latter portion of the day, if you like, rather than the early part of the day. But it varies. If I'm traveling on a train or something like that, I would probably read on the train. So I can be reading in the morning. It just depends on what I'm doing, but mostly it's afternoons, evenings, and before bed. Prompt number 2: Do you prefer to read in your work everyday clothes, or are you partial to reading in PJs or comfy clothes? I kind of just read in whatever I'm wearing. Don't tend to wear a lot of formal wear these days unless I'm meeting clients. So I tend to, it'll be jeans and a t-shirt, or later in the day, kind of, something like, tracksuit bottoms and a t-shirt, something like that. Is, yeah, comfier rather than formal wear, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. Prompt number 3: What is your favourite reading spot? Couch, chair, bed, outdoors, somewhere else? It varies. This time of the year, in the kind of winter time, tends to be on the sofa in front of the fire. But when things are a bit warmer outside, I do like to sit in the garden and read. It very much depends on the time of the year. I tend to sit in the same spot in our lounge, and that's how it has kind of worked out. That we have sort of our own seats, and that's it. So yeah, not it's not specifically for reading though. That's where I tend to sit, regardless of what we're doing. Do you snack while reading, or is this a no go? I don't tend to. Two reasons. One, it's kind of, once you start, it's kind of hard to stop. And the second one, I don't like having like greasy fingertips particularly if I'm reading a real book, because I don't want to mark the pages with grease spots or whatever. And so yeah, certain snacks are, and I don't like dropping crumbs in books if it's things like that. So no, I don't tend to. I know drink is a question further down, so I'll talk about that separately. But yeah, in terms of food, no. Although sometimes I will, read my Kindle. That would be about the only thing I would have a snack. Do you or have you ever peeked at the end of a book, or do you avoid spoilers at all costs? The only time I kind of look at the end of a book is just to see how many pages and whether, because sometimes you get like the index and bibliography and things like that at the end of the book, and it can be a bit misleading. You look at where you are in the book, and you think, oh, I've still got that much, and actually it's not. It's that much because a big chunk of it is bibliography and things which I do look at, but I don't tend to kind of read line by line. There might be particular things that I want to go and look up something in the bibliography that I've read earlier in the book because I'm interested in perhaps reading that book. But yeah, that's about the only time I look at the end of a book. Do I avoid spoilers at all costs? I try and avoid spoilers, but I think life's too short to, there are things, you know, there was a spoilers book tag a couple of weeks ago, I think last week or the week before. So a lot of the answers about spoilers are in that if you're so inclined. I'll pop a thing up somewhere. But yeah, no, I'm not too bothered. Problem number 6. Do you prefer first person or third person narrative, or do you care? No, I don't think it bothers me particularly. I think I quite like first person, but I think there are limitations to how you can tell a story when it's in the first person, because obviously you can only really tell that story through that person's eyes, so what they see and what they know at any one particular time. Whereas in third person, you can talk about all sorts of things that maybe a main character doesn't know about, and so on. So very much depends on the book and what's going on. It doesn't particularly bother me either way. I like books, both. Do you read dedications, author's notes, acknowledgements, or do you skip these? No, I do read them. I sometimes won't read them at the start, particularly if it is something that I feel might spoil. I have had books spoilt where not so much acknowledgements but an author's notes, but introductions to books, and particularly classics, where an academic has written the introduction and told you basically the whole story. So I tend to maybe wait until I finish the book and then go back and read the introductions and things like that. And sometimes I'll do that with author's notes. It just depends, because sometimes the author's notes give a bit of context that you need to understand the story. But yeah, very much on a case-by-case basis. But I do always read them either before or after. Do you have a favourite reading beverage? No, but I tend to. So, I'm a coffee drinker in the morning, and a tea drinker in the afternoon. So depending on the time of day, and very often if I'm travelling, I'll have coffee with me because it keeps better in a flask or a insulated mug than tea does. And yeah, normally I've got water on the go as well, so that's pretty much it. I have been known to sit down of an evening with a nice glass of scotch while I'm reading, but I don't do that very often because I don't drink a lot of alcohol anyway. So yeah, no, not a particular. I don't have a drink that I must have a tea with my book. It just depends on what time of day. If I have coffee in the afternoon, I don't sleep, so it's that's why I drink coffee in the morning. How do you decide what to read next? TBR, mood, goals, random choice. Oh, I could do a whole video on this. I have TBR piles. That's 3 piles of TBR books. And there are others. Mood, mood, very much so. I find okay, here's a good example. I've just finished reading Bernard Cornwell's Sharp series, So as many of the books that have been published to date. It's taken me quite a few years to do that. And I could have done it in a shorter period of time. It's just I've chosen to read, a couple a year over a number of years, and more perhaps recently. And they were always there as a backup. So if I was, not sure what I was going to read, I'd just go and read one of those. And I have other comfort reads, which kind of are for those particular times when, and it's very often mood, I'm stuck with knowing what to read next. And despite having loads of books that I haven't read, I will look at them and go, no, don't read, no, and I'll go and read one of those. So yeah, goals. I'm trying. My goal this year is to enjoy my reading. So I'm trying not to set a particular number of books or anything like that. I am doing a few reading events. So this month I'm doing Home is Where the Heart Is. So those sorts of things. Yeah, I have goals around trying to do that. March Mystery Madness is coming up. I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to specifically do anything associated with that. So there are all sorts of things like that. And then very often within that framework, it's random. So, it'd be like, okay, I need a comfort read. I will go and read that book. It'll just be a random choice. So yeah, all of the above, I think, is the answer to that prompt. But yeah, I sometimes struggle with what to read next, and it'll take me maybe a day or two to settle into a new book. But yeah, that's kind of why I read as well. Very often read a couple of books at the same time, so that if I finish one, I've still got the other one, and then I can bring the new book in as part of that. So yeah, that's it. Tag some others. Anyone can come along, feel free. Anyone can play along, feel free, is what the prompt says. So yeah, if you want to have a go, feel free. I will tag a few people. I'm not sure who's already been tagged, but I will tag a few people in the video description. And if you have been, thank you for watching. Thank you to Pat for tagging me. Thank you to Kevin for coming up with the original tag. And I will speak to you again soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.